Thank you for showing up. It's a hallmark of the arts in Davis that we have artists and audiences and donors that support this. I'm proud to be part of that. I'm proud to have Davis Art Center as part of that, and I thank you for being part of that.
My name is David Robertson, and I'm your Master of Ceremonies tonight. The person who is going to be our first speaker is also going to be our last speaker, and I'm going to introduce him now. And I was just talking to him, and he gave me my first line. He said, "The less said about Gary Snyder, the better."
Thoreau's presence in the Sierra Nevada high country has a deep reverberation. It evokes Dr. Coyote, Chan, Mountain Man, Han Shan, Mother and Guide, Sacagawea, Alvar Nunez and Esteban, lost along the Rio Grande River, and Chuan Tsang, the translator pilgrim who went from China to India and back on foot to return with the text of the Heart Sutra. Elvis went up and visited the Sierra Nevada west of Bishop to take a look at peak 12,691 and see if we didn't think it ought to be called Mount Thoreau, after Henry David Thoreau, the great American nature writer of the 19th century. Our project is to give some spirit to the memory of Thoreau and to the idea of having a mountain illegally and unofficially named Thoreau out here in the West.
Art is as long as ever, but life is more interrupted and less available for a man's proper pursuits. It is time we have done referring to our ancestors. We have used up all our inherited freedom, like the young bird, the albumen in the egg. It is not an era of repose. If we would save our lives, we must fight for them.
It occurred to me several years ago that although there are many charismatic names in the Sierra Nevada that reference heroic figures of the 19th century, philosophers, scientists, and the like, that there was not a peak named after Henry David Thoreau. I did have the original idea. I'm happy that I did. It would have remained an idea only forever if it weren't for Lori Glover. And that's been teaching me a lot about collective action and about actor networks. The power of a group as over the individual when it comes to actually getting cool things done. Even something small and symbolic like this would only have worked because of the group. So here we are tonight, and for me it's simply thrilling. The excuse for tonight, or one of the things that made it happen, is that Tom Killian, the great woodblock print artist, has done a print of our Mount Thoreau. And so now we have that to celebrate, and it sort of puts a seal of approval on that.
All those dry pools scoured out at once. The creek where I lived tossed up fence posts, road signs, parts of gates. The crimped block letters of his penciled script still surface. An accordion file, a yellow box labeled "A gift from Beijing, Dad," an envelope of maps.
Our expedition was a gesture, as though by conjuring with Thoreau's name we could raise his spirit of razor intellect and cultural daring and enlist it in the battle over climate change and the degradation of nature.
I was very excited to be part of this trip to honor Thoreau. I've often wondered why there was no peak in the Sierras named after Thoreau when so many of his contemporaries like Emerson did have peaks named after them. Thoreau was an impassioned defender of doing illegal actions if they were in accordance with your conscience. And I wonder if that wasn't still actually quite controversial at the time that these mountains were named. If that's the case, we have righted that wrong.
In the Sierras, there are mountains named for Muir, Mendel, Darwin, Emerson. Thoreau was no less a giant of thought. He was no less a giant in his powers of description and the beauty of his language. He was no less a giant in the world of nature and science.
I'm a native Californian, and I've been going to the Sierras my whole life. And for the last 30 years, I've been doing high country backpacking. It was doubly and triply and infinitely rewarding and exciting for all those reasons. To be among friends, among fellow lovers of nature, among fellow lovers of Henry David Thoreau, among long-term friends, and also personally fulfilling because I could do what I always loved to do.
Now, Cage, reading passages like this, said that Thoreau listened with the ears of an electronic music composer. That is, he listened attentively to sounds as they are, not for their associations, not for their meaning, not for their expressive content, but for the sounds themselves. That's how I've listened, and it's a hallmark of how those in this experimental tradition listen. And instead of talking more about this music, we'll play some to give you the chance to bring that kind of attention to sound.
Emerson had a partner across this chasm of Paiute Pass, and of course that partner should be the man that looked up to him so much, although they had a contentious relationship at times, which of course, you know, the chasm of Paiute Pass kind of shows that contentious relationship. Paiute Pass, that I did the sketch that ended up being the thing I used for the print. And I'm really glad that I did that, because it ended up being a view that Mount Thoreau just kind of stood up by itself, completely separate, and it really looks like a mountain. My new print of Mount Thoreau I just finished a week ago so that I'd be able to put it in this exhibit. And it's a 4-color woodcut on Japanese Shino wood, done by me with Japanese tools, and then I printed it by hand on Japanese paper. And I did it specially for this project and for tonight, and to give some to some of the people in the group that went up Mount Thoreau. And then since it's a woodcut, I might as well do an edition. So then now I have an edition, you know. So it's a print in my repertoire. But really, it's all about the people that put this together and the kind of fun that we share.